Welcome everyone who is logged in so far. We will be starting in a few minutes. But before we officially get started, I wanted to show you some of the handouts we have available for today's webinar. And if you look at your computer screen, in the lower right-hand corner, there is a section called Download File. And we have a few handouts for you today. The first one, all you have to do is click on any handout that you want. It highlights blue, and then there's a button way down low that lets you then download that activated file. So our first handout is actually a copy of today's webinar. So you can print it out and walk through at a little bit slower pace if you need to. The next item we have is a chair buying guide. There are some managers who might be asked in the future to buy a new chair. And this buying guide walks you through what you're looking for. So sometimes when you open up a WB Mason catalog, you're not exactly sure what you're looking for. They all look pretty, but there are some features that you're looking for. So that chair buying guide is helpful for buying off the state contract list. If the guide, if your agency is using a different vendor, I am not pointing you at one vendor. I'm pointing you at chair features. So if you have a chair but it's from a different vendor, we would be happy to look at it for you and see if it has those features that you need. The next handout that we have is a tip sheet on office ergonomics tips. It's a tip handout that explains how to adjust your chair and where to put your monitor. And then we also have another buying guide here off the state contract list for the qualities that you're looking for in a keyboard tray and what you're looking for in a footrest. Okay, so we're closer to 3 o'clock. For people who are just logging in, I just walk people through the handouts that are available down here in lower right. You haven't missed anything. These handouts too, if you have trouble downloading here on this webinar platform, it's also posted on our website, our public website. And the handouts are available here at our website. And a copy of this webinar will be recorded and will be posted on the wiki site. There is a MeShare wiki site available to state employees, so you can listen to the webinar again in the future. All right, so that's the background on the handouts we have. So what I'll do is get started. First, I'd like to start by introducing myself. I am Mary Dojwa, and I work with the Department of Labor Standards. And our program is responsible for safety and health of public employees, so all state, county, and city and town employees. We try to help you provide a safer workplace. Also with me today is Maxine Garbo. She's an occupational health nurse, and she has conducted many ergonomic surveys in state agencies over the past year. So a lot of the tips we're going to provide you today are things that we've seen out there and helped other people with. So hopefully you can learn from what our suggestions and recommendations have been for other people. Okay, so what the objectives for today's webinar is, I'd like to do 3 things with you. This is a self-help webinar so that you will be able to adjust your own chair. You will be able to put your monitor in the best place for you, and you will be able to adjust your keyboard and mouse. So I'm going to walk you through how to make those adjustments and where you want those adjustments to be. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to adjust your chair. And there's 3 main things that I'm looking for when I give you suggestions. Putting your feet firmly on the floor, keeping your hips and knees at the same height, and adjusting your back cushion. So I'm going to walk you through some of these details here. First, before we make the chair adjustments, I want to do a demonstration with you to go to the background concept. So if you're able to, I'm going to stand up right now, and you can join me even though I can't see you. But when I'm standing, and there's a picture of me standing here, what I'm trying to do is show you a few things. Stand comfortably and wiggle your shoulders a little bit right now, and then bring them back down to a relaxed position. Now, feel where your shoulders are. Touch your shoulders, now touch your hips. Your shoulders, when you're standing, are directly on top and above your hips. And now feel, you can wiggle your knees a little bit. Feel where your knees are. Your knees are below your hips. So if we look at our spine, or I look at my posture, everything's in a straight line. I'm looking straight ahead, my shoulders are pointed straight ahead, and I'm in a straight line when I'm up and down. So when I make recommendations for your chair, I'm actually making the recommendations so that when you're sitting, we're going to have the same type of framework. When I'm sitting, my shoulders are going to be on top of my hips. So I just wanted you to know where I'm coming from. I also have another thing I'd like to demonstrate. So maybe you're still standing here. Now, raise one of your shoulders way high up into the air. And you can feel it's a little uncomfortable. We don't walk down the street this way with one shoulder up, one shoulder down. But a lot of people that I walk past are mousing this way. So you're typing on the keyboard, and your mouse is located on an area of your desk which makes your shoulder go up to the right like that. So we don't walk down the street this way. We don't want to be typing with our shoulder up, and we don't want to be mousing with our shoulder up. Okay, everyone can sit back down now. I'm done with the demo, and we'll go into the chair adjustments. So I'm going to talk about your chair. Sometimes when we walk past folks, they're using pillows, they're using cushions. I saw one person use a stuffed animal that they were sitting on to make themselves more comfortable. What I want to do, my goal, is to make the chair you have fit for you and be the most comfortable for you without using a pillow. So when we make these adjustments today, based on this webinar, take the pillow off, and we'll try the adjustments and see if I can get that chair work for you without the pillow. The pillow is a second choice. So the first choice is to make the adjustments and have that chair fit you. So first thing I look for when I walk up to each person doing an ergonomic survey is I look at your feet first. And I'm looking to see if you can touch the ground. It's extremely important that our feet are placed on a firm surface. So over on the left, you can see this person, when they're sitting in the chair, is not able to touch the ground. The chair is too high. What we did is we lowered down the chair, the height, and now his feet are firmly on the floor. Sometimes, some people, if they're shorter than 5 foot, even the chair can't even go low enough to touch the floor. That is when we go and we select a footrest for you. Okay, so I've just lowered the seat height so that your feet are on the floor. And now I'm going to play with that seat height, and I'm going to look at your thighs now. What I need your hip over here on the left picture, this yellow button, that's your hip. I need your hip and your knees to be at the same height. If you're not at the same height, this area here, the seat cushion actually presses against the back of your thigh, and it can compress some of your blood flow. And we don't want to compress your blood flow. So over here on the left, this chair is too high for this worker. Her hips are slightly higher than her knees. So what we would do for her is move her chair down ½ inch to 1 inch. And what I'm looking for is the picture over on the right. So here's a worker, here's his hip, here's his knees, and the red line here show that his hips and his knees are on the same level. So with you and your chairs, what you'll do is you'll play with that height, and you'll achieve that. Now, how do I adjust the height? Each manufacturer has their own levers. So each chair, the lever is going to be in a slightly different place. So on the chair on the left, the lever is down here. It looks like a paddle. This chair on the right, the lever is right here. It looks like a paddle. What you're looking for is the paddle to have this sort of icon on it, that it's going to move the cushion up and down. The next adjustment I look at, once I get the height correct, the next adjustment I look at is the back cushion itself. I want to see how much of your body is the cushion touching. So over on the left, you can see that that back cushion is quite low. The back cushion only goes to here. And I have all this shoulder space that is not supported. That is too much space. I want this cushion to be up higher. So over on the right is the same exact chair. This is the same exact chair. We just move the cushion up, and now the top of the cushion is closer to the shoulder blade area. I want this part of the body to be supported. Now you can lean back and actually use the chair for support. So this next slide tells us how to adjust that back. So again, I'm looking for a lever or a knob. Most chairs, it's a knob down here below. So here is actually a knob right here. On the chair we were just looking at, the knob is a little bit higher up. And so I loosen the knob, I pull this pull up, I guess, but you would call it something better than that. You pull up the entire cushion, and then you tighten the knob. When I do a survey with folks, what I'll do is I'll pull this cushion way, way up to a bizarrely, I know it's going to be wrong, okay? We pull it up too high, we have you sit back and lean back in that chair. It's like, this feels okay, but it's a little bit too high. And then we adjust this knob again, and we lower it down, and we find the spot that feels perfect for you. It should feel like it's hugging and supporting you a little bit. So each person's going to be different. Some people are going to go up a ½ inch, some people are going to go up more. Next thing I do is I look at the angle of the back cushion. So I did move the back of the cushion up, but look at this. I've got all this space. I'm not using the back of the chair at all. If you can see here, my shoulders are raised up, and my elbow is away from my body. I've got space from elbow to torso, and I've got space. I've got all this air. I don't want that air. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust. I'm going to look for this lever over here on the right. There's a paddle, and the icon will have the back of the cushion. It will have a left and right picture on it, or icon. I'm going to pull up that paddle, and I'm going to push this back cushion forward. And then I got to play with it again. Lots of times we'll push it all the way forward. You'll sit down and you'll be like, wow, this is really pushing me forward. This is uncomfortable. I'm like, okay, then we know that's too much forward. We'll lift that paddle again, lean it back an inch or two, and we'll try it out there. So it's something you have to play with a little bit, and each person is going to be different. But let's look at the end game. The end goal that we're looking at is that my shoulder is supported here, my back is also touching, and look where my elbows are when I'm sitting. My elbows are tucked in close to my rib cage or my waist. So this is the posture that we're trying to get. This I'm not getting any support. And this area of my back is working hard to keep me steady in that chair and not falling out of it. I don't want to ask my back to do that work. I want to sit back in the chair. I'm relaxed, and that work is taken away from me. Okay, so that's the back cushion. The last adjustment we have is every once in a while I see someone who's on the tall side, and they've got nice long legs that I wish I had, but you find out that you've got the seat cushion, but their legs are so long that they keep going way past the end of the seat cushion. So she here has this whole area here that's not supported by chair at all. Sometimes that can make your back do extra work. So lots of ergonomic chairs have an option for her. This has a lever here where you're going to slide the seat cushion left and right. So you pull the lever. This cushion here at the bottom is going to slide over to her knees and then give more of her legs more support. If you're on the short side for me, I don't use that lever at all. I don't have to use it. I use that chair right out of the box, but other people have to make a couple of adjustments there to make them more comfortable. All right, so that is all the main tips about the chair. I am going to move on to where you should put your monitor. The end game for the monitor is we want to keep your neck straight. We don't want it tilted down looking at the floor. We don't want it tilted up looking at the sky. If you ever tried to watch the eclipse last fall, you were looking up to the sky and whoa, that wasn't good for your neck. And we don't want to have a bent neck looking left and right either. So neck straight on just like we're walking. And so this is what we're doing. I want to put all of your equipment, I want to put your monitor, your keyboard, and your chair all in a direct lane. So very much like a swimming lane, very much like walking down the hallway. My eyes are looking straight ahead. My feet are looking pointed straight ahead. My knees are pointed straight ahead, and I'm looking straight on at that monitor. So over on the left here is a picture of someone not doing it so great. Over on the left, I'd like you to look at her knees. Where are her knees pointed? They're pointed over here, okay, on this line. And now look where her shoulder is pointed. Her shoulder should be pointed straight ahead where her knees are pointed, and they're not. She's twisted to go over and look at that monitor. That means her spine is twisted. If your spine is twisted for 8 hours a day, times 5 days, times 4 weeks, times the whole year, you're going to be a little tired. So we want to take that work and that twist away from your spine. We want you to be looking straight in a line. So your monitor is right on top of your keyboard, and then your chair is right in front of those. So everything, all of your work is facing the same direction, and all of your work is in the same straight line. So let's talk about monitor height. How high should your monitor be? Each person has a preference, and so we sort of have a rule of thumb on where most people are more comfortable. So the top of the monitor should be at eye level. The reason for that is the way our eyeballs work is we look really great straight ahead, and we look really great like at a 30-degree angle. And so that range of vision captures most of the screen there. Most people are also comfortable with this distance here from my face being 18 inches to 28 inches away. So too far away is not so good. Too close right up to your nose is also not so good. But each person has their own preference, and height, especially if you wear bifocals, sometimes you need your monitor to be a little lower. Okay, the next thing we're going to talk about is our keyboard location. I'm going to talk about the height of the keyboard tray, and I'm going to talk about where to put your mouse. Once again, I'm going to do like a little demonstration of concepts with you because I want to demonstrate what work feels like. So I'm going to stand up right now, and I'm inviting you to stand up with me and pretend to do this with me. I'm asking you to hold a gallon of milk out with your arm extended. So I know you don't have a gallon of milk with you. So hold out your arm. It's empty, but hold it out straight from your body. And we're going to hold it out while I talk over the next 2 slides. If I asked you to carry that milk 2 blocks down the street and hold that milk out extended, it's going to feel very heavy to you very fast. Most people would prefer to carry that milk pulled in tight to their torso. So the next slide shows where most people feel, and me included, feel that it's more comfortable to carry that jug of milk. We feel stronger holding the milk close to our belly button, close to our waist. That's the way we're built. Hold out that arm again. The jug of milk weighs the same amount of pounds, but it will feel heavier on our arms. So we can sit down now and put the milk down. What I'm trying to show is that we won't carry the milk with our arm outstretched, so we're not going to type with our arm outstretched. We're going to type with the keyboard close to your waist, just like we would carry that milk close to your waist. All right, so we're going to bring the keyboard to you. So notice this picture here. I sort of want you to ignore those 90-degree lines there. What we're looking for is where his keyboard is. His keyboard is brought in close to his lap. And look where his knees are. His knees are right underneath the keyboard. So if you look at a typical keyboard, you've got the number keys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and you've got your function row keys, F1, F2, F10. The F2, F10 function row is really right on top of his knees. That's where you want your keyboard to be. Bring it into your lap, have the keyboard on top of your knees. Now that tray, the keyboard height is going to hover right over your legs. So the keyboard tray is going to be adjusted. We're not going to touch your legs because that would be annoying. We're going to have it hover over about a ½ inch above. So you can see that there's some airspace here, that this keyboard tray is sort of hovering above his leg but not touching. That's your goal. Okay. Oops, going to move this to the left. All right, so here, back to my demonstration concept. If I put the jug of milk or your keyboard on the desk, the work is too far away from us. What we want to do is bring the milk into your torso, and that's why the keyboard's there. We're bringing the keyboard in close to your waist, close to your lap. So hopefully that's easy to remember. Okay. Now, next item is where we put the mouse. We want the mouse and the keyboard to be on the same level. So let's look over at Frank here for a second. He's got the mouse over on the desktop, and look at his right arm. His elbow is far away from his rib cage, okay? And his shoulder will be raised. Now look at me over to the right. It's the same as when we were doing the standing demonstration before, and I put one shoulder way up high. That is just as if when I am if my mouse is located on the table here, that's what my shoulder looks like. So we want to avoid that, and the way to avoid that is by putting the mouse and the keyboard on the same level. So yes, I want to use a keyboard tray, and yes, I want to put the keyboard and the mouse right on the same level. So how do I adjust that tray? Because some of them appear to be a little clunky. They actually are pretty easy to adjust. Some of the trays have an adjustment knob underneath the tray, like here, so you have to kind of get on the floor and look underneath. And some of the trays have an adjustment bar here. So this bar that I've got the green arrow on, you can push hard on that, and that tray will go up and down. And don't be afraid about breaking that. I've pushed, some of them require you to push really hard. And then here is a tilt knob where we can kind of adjust the tilt of this tray. And I'll show you, we'll discuss that in a couple of seconds. But push this one down so that that tray is hovering right above your knees, and then in the next slide we'll learn about this knob to see what tilt we want. Okay? And here we've got the mouse, the keyboard, we're all on the same level. So I'm going to talk about the keyboard tilt for a second, and I want to do another demonstration of concepts. We don't have to stand up for this one. You can do this one with me sitting down. But I'm going to hand you a bag of groceries, and I need you to carry it down the street again for me. So when you take that bag of groceries from me, chances are almost none of you will grab it this way with your fingers above your wrist. And you can kind of do that feeling with me right now, and you'll see, gee, your hand really doesn't feel strong like that. Pretend right in front of you in your lap, pretend you're making a motion to go shake someone's hand. And you'll notice that your fingertips and your wrist are all in a straight line. We call this a neutral position, the handshake position. This is when our hand is very strong. Again, down here, when we're holding the grocery bag, most people, I'm sure, would prefer to hold the grocery bag with their fingers curled below their wrist. And the reason why is because we're the strongest this way. So I'm going to do the same thing with your keyboard. The keyboard is work, and it's just like carrying groceries or carrying milk. We're going to have your fingers be lower than your wrist. So here we are for the keyboard angle. Over here on the left, we've got our fingers above our wrist. We do not want to be typing uphill. So what we're going to do on your keyboard, they are all soled with these legs. You are going to go back to your desk and flip all of the legs down. They're decoration. I guess someone put them there 30 years ago and thought they were a good idea. We don't want to use them. If I use them, it means that I'm typing uphill, just like I'm carrying this grocery bag uphill. What we're going to do instead is we're going to adjust that tray, and if you notice here, here's my wrist, and I just drew a straight yellow line across from my wrist location, and you may notice right now that my fingers are lower than my wrist bone there. That's how we want to type. Our fingers are lower than the wrist. So you'll also see that this keyboard tray looks rather flat to you, doesn't it? It is not curved upward. We do not want to type uphill. We want to type flat, and we want to type in a position where my fingers can be lower than my wrist. Also notice in this picture there's something else that you can see where my elbow is. My elbow is close to my rib cage. I am stronger that way than reaching out, having my elbow extended. And you'll also see that the keyboard tray is hovering right over my knees. That's what you want to do, is bring that keyboard to you. Okay, let's talk about location for a second. We do go to some areas and people like to put the monitor in the corner of their L workstation. So I have a couple of comments on that. Monitors in the corner are okay as long as you have a keyboard tray in the corner and you're going to be lined up in a straight lane. Putting your monitor in the corner is not okay if you're going to put the keyboard on top of the desk. When you put the keyboard on top of your desk, you end up raising your shoulders up for the next 8 hours. You end up pulling your elbows away from your torso for the next 8 hours. If you have this desk set up and you've got a keyboard tray over here on the side, that's where you put your keyboard, and right on top of that keyboard is where you put your monitor. So everybody stays in a straight line. Okay, so those were our three main tips: the chair, the keyboard tray, and the monitor. I'm going to run you through some quick other things that we see. First is the telephone. Do not cradle a telephone between your face and shoulder. If your job requires you to be on the phone for extensive periods, and also collecting information at the same time and typing that down, like in a call-in center or a dispatch center, you're speaking and typing, you really want to be using a headset. Crooking your neck like this to hold a phone in place is not ergonomically correct. Second thing, nowadays laptops are very popular. Some of us can look like this gentleman over here. You can see that his shoulders are hunched, his shoulders are up, his elbows are out away from his ribs, and you can see just that bend in the neck is just killing me. So some solutions that you can have is still adjust your chair height so your feet are touching the ground, but lots of docking stations are good, so you can attach a keyboard. And if you're at home and don't have a docking station, you can still attach a keyboard with a new USB port so that you're able to put that keyboard in a better location near your lap. Document holders. Some of us have to look at source documents and also type. So put that source document in the same lane. Put it in direct line with your lane of vision with the monitor and the keyboard. Don't put the source document over to the right so that it looks like your neck is playing ping pong, left, right. We don't want to do that bending. Also in this screen, you can see that there are two monitors. Some people need to use two monitors. In that case, do just like here. Put them as close together as possible so that you can see both without bending your neck. The other option is sometimes one of the monitors might be your primary, and the other one is just used for reference documents. In that case, put your primary monitor directly in front of you, so that because you're using that one the most and we don't want to bend your neck. Something I like to point out that is an option for folks, this is not mandatory, but it's something that it's good to be aware of, is that Microsoft allows you to customize your display. You go into the control panel on your computer and you look for devices, you look for accessibility, and you look for the mouse pointer. And there are some choices. So this is something I've done on my computer. When the computer is sold to you, there's a white arrow, and it's on the small side. You can customize it so that it's filled in dark and it's larger. So I've done that by going over to the mouse pointer feature. There's something called themes here. I chose Windows Black Extra Large. It shows you what it's going to look like. And then you try it out, and if you don't like it, you change it back. Another option is to enlarge your blinking cursor. Sometimes when I'm typing in a document, I sort of can't see where my cursor is, and I have to wiggle the mouse to find it, to bring it into vision. A different option is you could make that cursor line thicker, and you can also change the blinking rate so it blinks faster at you. Gee, that's annoying. You can make it blink slower at you so that you can see it better. Being able to see things first on your screen without wiggling that mouse is good. Any chance that I have to take away that mouse wiggling is a good thing. There's also opportunities to enlarge the font when you're reading a document. And it also works on Outlook. There is a setting where you can enlarge the type on that. And it is something that I actually needed to do, and it has helped me by having my fonts bigger. Clutter is the next thing that we occasionally see. And I really want to encourage you to reduce the amount of clutter that you have. If your floor is not clear, it means that you can't get your chair fully under the desk. It means that your feet are kind of touching things. It means that boxes or computer towers might be rubbing against your legs. It compromises how you're sitting and what your choices are for sitting. So keep that floor area clear and keep the area around your monitor clear so that you are having a direct line of vision and the cluttered material isn't forcing your monitor out of alignment. Occasionally, people will ask us about sit-stand tables, and the Department of Labor Standards does not recommend sit-stand stations. Studies right now do not show reduction of carpal tunnel by using those stations. And we've also found some folks have gotten them and then they're still not working because when they're sitting down, the keyboard is still too high. So they need a sit-stand station plus another keyboard tray. So that's our position on that. And I also want to remind people that they do have permission to take a break. It's good for your eyes. It's good for your muscles to go take a walk down to the copier, do a circle around the cube farm, walk to the break room, walk down to the lobby, and then walk back. Many of us, I've seen in a large number of state workers who work extremely hard the whole day. They're eating at their desk the whole day. They're not taking a break at all. And so giving yourself a little reminder to make sure that you stand and take a little walking every 2 hours or so is a good thing. So final check. What we're going to do is if you look at the photo over here on the right, you should be able to make some adjustments so that when you're sitting, you can sort of look like this picture here. We're adjusting the chair so that your feet are on the floor, your hips and your knees are at the same level, and that your back cushion touches up near your shoulder blade. We have the monitor straight ahead from our eyes, so I don't have to twist my neck. And I have the keyboard and mouse on the same level. We've got the keyboard hovering right over my thighs, and we have my elbows close to my torso. So if you were able to adjust your workstation and achieve these main tips, I do think that you will be much more comfortable in the weeks ahead. So we do have some handouts for you. We have handouts on our public website, and they're also attached to this webinar. And a recording of this afternoon's webinar will also be posted on the state wiki site for all state employees to access, even if you didn't get to listen in right now. And over in the lower right-hand corner, I wanted to show you where some of today's handouts are. So if you follow the green arrow, there's a copy of today's webinar. You highlight that line blue, and then click on the download file button, and that should download for you. We also have a chair buying guide using the state vendor contract. We also have Office Ergonomics tips for employees that walk you through that final check we just did. It walks you through those main concepts. And then the last handout we have is a keyboard buying tray. So you can click and download. If it doesn't work using this software platform, then go back up to our public website. We do have those available. And you can download them there. So thank you for attending. If you have any questions, you can type them in. We can answer you privately. And I hope you enjoyed today's webinar. Oh, armrests are a good question. We just got a question about armrests. And you can type in the answer, Max. Armrests are going to be according to your own personal preference. We want the armrest to be able so that you can scoot your chair under the desk. And when you use the armrest, I want your elbows to be close to your torso. So that's the main key, keeping your elbows close to your rib cage, and then you adjust the armrest to achieve that part. Hi, Andrew. You have a question about carpet chair mats. Those can be a very good thing. The key is that you're not sliding too far around, that you've got enough traction. So that's a preference thing. And so if it works for you, go for it.
Still live? I thought you shut down. Mine went dead.
Alrighty, so I'm saying goodbye, folks, and we'll see you next time.